What's up guys, my name is Isaac and today we're going to take a look at my feed MOC. This is a multi-layer build, so starting at the front here we've got a river area with Jar Jar in here swimming and some extra fish, a sort of clam, a frog up here on the surface, and a few other plants underneath the water there, some really nice reeds and just some sort of sprigs of green to make it look more lively and to make it look more like a river. Having multiple layers like this really makes the build interesting to the eye. If we turn the build around some, you'll notice that there are some extra Easter eggs hidden underneath. In this crack here, we've got a golem figure, and he's in there with a crystal, and you can barely see him, but that just adds some extra detail and some extra interest. If we turn it around some more, you'll notice on this side there is a little rat with some piping and sewage in there, just a little extra area to make that side more interesting. And then on the last side over here, we've got another crack, and this one has a spider and a few spider webs and a crystal in there too. Just a tiny little area, but it really adds a lot of depth and detail to the sides of the build. If you look at it from this perspective, you'll see that there's a weird shape going on right here. The reason for the odd shape here is because of the dome on top. I built the first few sections here, and I realized if I wanted space for all of this paving and roads and stuff, and also wanted to leave enough room for the dome on top of the building, I'd need it to be a little bit thicker than I had originally designed. So I was up to this level and I was just like, well, I don't want to redo that whole thing, so I just added a few inverted slopes and made it a little thicker there. It makes it kind of odd, but it also adds some interesting look to the back of it with this overhang, and I did do my best to make it look nice with some arch bricks and some ladder pieces just to make the jetting out back part a little bit more appealing to the eye. If we come up another level, you'll see this cool paved road, and this technique was actually sort of the starting point of the build. I was just messing around with some bricks, trying to come up with an interesting design for a road, and the design for this is pretty complicated. You'll notice all of these bricks are on their sides, and basically I just had to create some sub-assemblies and then put tiles in between all of those to create sort of the mortar look around those light gray bricks. I like this technique a lot because it makes this build look very professional, and this other gray sloped part here at the front is just connected to these stacked bricks with some extra Technic brick stone in there to allow the sort of chain fencing to go along the edge. I also had to remember to scatter some snot bricks in there for these tree platforms, as well as our Jedi there in the middle. And if I pull out some of these bricks, you'll see kind of how it's built. It's just one whole row of bricks with some tiles holding them together, and then I did 3 rows of those bricks and alternated them, and actually the last row is hidden some behind this sort of sidewalk build. Moving up another level, this sidewalk has a few more studs for some minifigures and an interesting design for these steps leading up here. I used an arch brick and fit some curved tiles inside there to do a few rounded shallow steps up to this level. Also, this part of the sidewalk that goes in between the building is not level. You can see it's not parallel with these plates here, and I just did a slight 1-plate slope upwards to create a bit more depth. That was kind of an illegal technique, but it worked out really well. It's barely visible, but I do like the fact that it slopes down some. I didn't use a whole lot of special techniques for the exterior of the building. I did my best to make sure I included the iconic sand colors and sand greens of Theed, and just did my best to sort of capture the architecture of that place. And this dome on top is one half of a planet, and this was obviously inspired by plenty of other builds that have used these dome parts for architecture and buildings and domes. The tricky part is connecting them. I ended up using the tabs. These parts have 4 tabs around the sides, and those actually fit very well into panel parts like these. The hard part was, since this planet is only 11 studs wide and thick, I had to do some interesting things One was making this whole build an odd number of studs wide. Another thing was offsetting this dome with jumper plates on the front and the back to make sure it was perfectly centered. But once I was able to connect it, I could just build around it and make it look like it's just a normal part of the building. And I also added just a little part on top to make it a little bit more interesting. The two balconies on either side are pretty similar, but there are some differences. Each of them has a floor made out of this grate piece. The railing around the edge is simple but effective, using some more panel pieces amidst these 1x1 bricks just to create a cool design. If we take a look at the other side, this balcony is a little bit more romantic. It's got a couple of chairs and a few flowers, which looks really great, and also a little view down into the sort of alley between the two areas. You can kind of stand there and look down into the alleyway there. Inside the alley, we've got a couple of doors on either side, and those lead into the interior. Nothing special, but it just gives a really nice look for an alley. And also there's a few lanterns hanging above, just to add some extra detail and to make it look like it's sort of lit in there. Moving to the interior, this is one of the rooms that I decorated, and this is sort of a lounge gaming area. You got a Diedrich holochess game there on that table with some abstract art there behind, and a few playing cards on the wall, a few other minifigures hanging out, and some little stool seats. A lot of light is coming in through the roof. You can see that grate there provides a lot of light, and there's a cool chandelier build. Also over on this wall is a coat or cape rack where patrons can come in and just hang their coats if they plan to stay a while. Here in the other interior room, this is more of a bedroom. There's a nice chair on the wall and a bed build here in dark orange, just kind of a sloped, soft looking kind of thing with some blue milk sitting there. And then there's just a simple table in the back corner with like a genie lamp and a drink. The same chandelier up on top and the same grate letting in light. The other really cool function for this bedroom is turning it into something other than a bedroom. So let me transform that, because this is where the Power Functions battery box goes so that you can turn on the lights. There we go, now we got our batteries. So this is just where I store the battery box when I turn on the lights for the alleyway. And so I'm going to show you how that's all wired up, and then I'll turn on the lights. Alright, all wired up. You'll notice this wire does kind of get annoying because it's on the outside, but I guess you could do it like that. Oh yeah, that works a lot better. Yeah, I just turned it around backwards. That's going to hide it a lot better. But yeah, I'm going to dim the lights so that you can see the ones under here. They're not very bright, so they don't add a lot of illumination, but let's check it out. And that's the end of this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this build. Don't forget to like this video if you did, and subscribe for more epic builds like this. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.